On a freezing winter night, an officer heard scratching at his mailbox. Annoyed, he stepped outside, only to find a wounded German shepherd clawing desperately at the metal. Moments later, he opened the box. What he discovered inside didn't just steal his breath. It froze him to the core. The night was bitterly cold, the kind of winter air that stung the lungs with every breath. Officer Daniel had just returned from his shift, eager for nothing more than a hot drink and a few hours of rest. He parked his cruiser, footsteps crunching against the snow as he walked toward his porch. The world seemed unusually still. No cars, no voices, not even the usual barking of dogs in the distance. For the first time in days, he thought he might finally have peace, but as he slipped off his gloves and reached for his keys, a faint noise broke the calm. A steady, persistent scratching echoed from the edge of his yard. At first, he thought it was the wind, or maybe a raccoon, but then he froze. The sound was coming from his mailbox. With a frown, Officer Daniel stepped off his porch and trudged through the snow toward the mailbox. The scratching grew louder, more frantic. As he drew closer, the beam of the streetlight revealed a shape hunched low against the metal post. It wasn't a raccoon. It wasn't a fox that a German shepherd stood there, its fur dusted with snow, sides heaving from exhaustion. One paw pressed against the mailbox door, claws raking desperately against the steel. The dog's other leg bore a fresh wound, a streak of dried blood marking its fur. Daniel slowed, expecting the animal to growl or retreat. But instead, the shepherd locked eyes with him, holding his gaze with an intensity that sent a shiver down his spine. This wasn't a random stray searching for food. The dog wasn't trying to get in, it was trying to get him to look inside. Daniel's first instinct was irritation. A stray dog scratching up his mailbox on a night like this? But when he stepped closer, his annoyance gave way to unease. The shepherd wasn't snarling or begging for food. Its body trembled from cold and pain, yet its eyes burned with urgency. The officer crouched, keeping his distance, watching the dog's behavior. Every time he reached for the mailbox, the shepherd's paw slammed against the metal, as if insisting he pay attention. Snow clung to its whiskers, blood smeared the fur on its leg, but the dog refused to back down. Daniel's training kicked in. This wasn't random. Dogs didn't act with such desperation unless something was very wrong. His pulse quickened as he studied the box. Was it a nest of some kind? An animal trapped inside? Or something worse? The shepherd let out a sharp bark, then scratched again, harder this time, its claws screeching against the frozen steel. The sound echoed in the empty street, raising the hairs on Daniel's neck. Slowly, carefully, he reached for the latch. The German shepherd backed away only a step, eyes locked on him, waiting. Whatever was inside, the dog wanted him to see it. Daniel's gloved hand hesitated on the cold latch. His breath fogged the winter air as the shepherd whined, circling anxiously beside him. With a deep breath, he pulled the mailbox open. What he saw made his blood run cold. Inside the narrow metal box, wrapped in wires and duct tape, was a device blinking red, a bomb. The timer glowed with relentless precision, its numbers crawling downward, second by second. Daniel staggered back, heart hammering in his chest. Adrenaline surged through his veins. "Dear God," he muttered. The shepherd barked furiously, as if to drive the danger home. Snow swirled in the night wind, but Daniel felt heat crawling up his neck. This wasn't just vandalism or a prank. Someone had planted a bomb at his house. His instincts screamed to run, but his training forced him to think. He radioed for backup, voice tight, every word urgent. As he called it in, his eyes flicked to the dog. Without its frantic warning, he would have opened that box carelessly and never walked away. For the first time that night, Daniel realized the shepherd hadn't just wandered to his home. It had saved his life. In the chaos that followed, Daniel couldn't stop glancing at the shepherd. While the bomb squad swarmed his street, the dog stood off to the side, chest heaving, its injured paw pressed into the snow. Neighbors whispered, pointing, but no one approached. To them, it was just a stray, but Daniel knew better. This was no ordinary dog. Later, at the station, he asked around. An animal control officer pulled a file, shaking his head. That shepherd's been spotted for months. Used to belong to a family on the outskirts of town. They lost everything. After a house fire, dog survived, but no one ever came back for him. Daniel's chest tightened. Abandoned. Scarred. Forced to survive winters alone. No wonder the shepherd carried that haunted look. Yet, despite everything, when danger appeared, the dog hadn't run. He had stayed. He had warned. The officer glanced out the frosted window where the shepherd sat patiently, shivering in the cold. Tough animal. Most would have given up by now. Daniel swallowed hard. He understood that resilience, the stubborn will to keep going when the world tried to break you. This dog wasn't just a stray. He was a survivor. When the bomb was safely disarmed and the crowd dispersed, animal control prepared to take the shepherd away. The van door creaked open, and an officer motioned with a leash. We'll keep him overnight. Then, if no one claims him, he'll be processed like the others. Daniel's gut twisted. Processed. He knew what that meant. A hero reduced to paperwork, then forgotten in a shelter cage. He glanced at the shepherd, who sat in the snow watching him, head tilted slightly, as if waiting for his decision. The dog's eyes weren't wild anymore. They were pleading. Trusting. Logic told him to let animal control do their job. Rules were rules. But his heart rebelled. This dog had just saved his life. He couldn't stand by and watch him be discarded. Again, the officer holding the leash called out, "Sir, we need to take him now." Daniel took a step forward, his badge heavy against his chest. The cold wind bit at his face, but his voice was firm. "No, he's coming with me." And in that instant, the line between duty and compassion blurred. The stray had become something more. His responsibility, his partner, his second chance. The shepherd hesitated as Daniel reached for the leash, then stepped forward, tail giving the faintest wag. It was a fragile gesture, but in that moment, Daniel felt the bond cement. This wasn't pity. This was trust, freely given. Neighbors who had gathered whispered in surprise. Some shook their heads, others smiled, but Daniel didn't care. He clipped the leash gently and knelt beside the dog. "You're safe now," he murmured. The shepherd pressed his head into Daniel's chest, a low whine escaping his throat. Together, they walked away from flashing lights and official vehicles, side by side. No longer a stray shivering in the cold, the shepherd now belonged to someone who understood resilience. And for Daniel, who had expected nothing more than a quiet winter night, this choice marked the beginning of something extraordinary, a partnership. Forged in frost, danger, and unspoken loyalty. That winter night, Daniel thought he was stepping outside to stop a nuisance. Instead, he found a stray German shepherd who saved his life and changed it forever. The mailbox was empty now, the danger gone, but the memory lingered. Each time Daniel looked at the shepherd curled at his feet, he knew he hadn't just taken in a dog. He had gained a partner, a protector, a reminder that miracles sometimes scratch at your door when you least expect them. Heroes don't always wear badges. Sometimes they wear fur.